This is Mike Acker. He's now a speaker, a communications coach, and leadership consultant with over 19 years of experience in speaking in leadership and development. Let's give a warm welcome here to Mike Acker.
How many of you remember some point in time when someone traumatized you, especially your parents? Anybody look back at a traumatizing moment? Maybe it was at your first AAL and your mom comes up and talks about wearing underwear on your head. Some traumatizing events our parents put us through. Well, in 1991, we were living in Mexico, and my dad brings me to the inner city public school, all Mexicans in an area that had not seen tourism yet, and movies were not being released that were really showing a lot of white people. My dad thought it would be a great idea to immerse me so I could really learn how to speak Spanish now that I had moved to Mexico. So we drive into this inner city school. He brings me in, drops me off in the courtyard during recess, says, "Mike, I'm gonna go speak to the principal, and I'm gonna go see if I can enroll you even though we're halfway through the year. You stay here. If you don't want to stay in this school, you don't have to, all right?" And we all know how that went. While I was waiting for my dad, who can talk and talk and talk and does speak Spanish and did speak Spanish because he learned it to sell drugs, let's just be honest, I was standing there and I was this tall, skinny, pale kid with some braces, and I stood out. Let's just say the entire school was drawn to this white light emanating from me. They're coming up to me, all staring, about 300 kids. They're drawn to me. They start creating a circle around me and sending emissaries to talk to me. And they would come up to me and say, "What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name?" So I stood there, insecure, lacking confidence, afraid, wondering what they were saying about me. And I just kept on repeating, "Mike, Mike, Mike, Mike." So let me introduce myself. I'm Mike. And when I'm standing in front of 300 people, I just want to say, "Mike, Mike, Mike." 28 years have passed, and now I'm the best-selling author of the book, Speak with No Fear, and soon, Speak with Confidence. I'm a public speaker of 19 years. I've had all kinds of different engagements, speaking to 10 people or 10,000 people over a weekend. And yet every single time that I speak, someone typically comes up and says something like this: "How do you speak with confidence? How is it that you don't get nervous anymore?" There's this association, because you're a public speaker, because you've done this for a long time, with some level of success, you can just do this confidently. But the reality is right here, as I speak, I got a little bit of shake going on. I got a little bit of sweat here. My heart is palpitating. Yes, all of our hearts are palpitating. Mine's going a little bit faster. Now, why is that relevant to you? Still, after all these years, I have to fight for confidence. And we've dove into this new realm of life by publishing a book or about to publish a book. All of a sudden, we have written something that someone else is going to read or has read. Have you thought about that? Like when you write your book, the first 100 copies, you're like, "Yeah, it was my dad and some SPS people, and I bought 50. But then 101 copies, and you're like, "Someone read a book I wrote." And then someone leaves a review, and they're like, "This book helped me, loved it." You're like, "I am awesome. I'm the best person out there." And then just when your confidence is soaring, Amazon customer leaves a review. I'm a little surprised by all the stars that lack substance. I just finished TED Talks by Chris Anderson, which was so much more substantive, and would recommend that over this piece of junk. Sorry, I really wanted to like it and to benefit. I clicked on this guy. He's left 3 reviews in his history of Amazon. One of them is a poor review of 1 out of 5 stars for me. Yay! And it's amazing how in the midst of all of that confidence, it can soar and then it can sink. It can increase, it can decrease. It can climb and it can cower. Confidence goes all over the place. So as you create a book and maybe create a second book and maybe want to do some speaking engagements and want to do some coaching and want to build a business, how do you have confidence that is steady in the midst of taking your book from the page to the stage? How do you have that? I work with all kinds of different clients now in public speaking, and I work with them in 3 different spheres that lead to this type of confidence. And I want to walk you through these briefly. The first one, to develop a confidence is to determine your identity. Determine who you are as a speaker, as a coach, as a business leader. Determine your identity. This is your ethos, your you-ness, your character. This is your integrity. When it comes to identity, when it comes to all these different areas, you can start asking some questions. Because really, who are you brings up a whole bunch of other questions like, what do you want to do? What do you value? Do you have a life mission? What do you like about yourself? Why don't you like that about yourself? Why? And you ask these questions to go deeper. Recently, I've been working with the CEO. He's in a multinational company, 40 different countries. And even with all his wealth, with his success, with his good looks, with all the things that he still has this insecurity. So we ask these questions to go deeper. I do have those questions available. I thought about this afterwards. If you do want to just email me, Mike Acker at stepstoadvance.com. I can email you those questions when we get back. But those questions drive deeper who he is. And here's what's so important. How many of you are familiar with the Space Needle in Seattle? In Seattle, where I'm from, we're waiting for the big one, the big earthquake. Did you know the Space Needle is one of the safest places to be in Seattle when the earthquake finally happens? It's because the foundations go so deep. Why? The architects knew that to go up, you had to go down. So drive in your character, your identity, your integrity, drive that down deep so then you can climb on up. It's the safest place to be, probably the scariest too, as it will be going back and forth and back and forth. Likewise, it can be scary the bigger you get, the larger platform you get. However, you're not afraid to, and you don't have to run away because you've driven down the anchor deep. Determine your identity to drive in your anchor. Second one, define the message. What are you communicating? Confidence comes from knowing what you're going to say and how to say what you're going to say. So the message is so huge. What are you communicating? It's the content, it's the understanding. It's also the organization of all these thoughts. There's a great saying that if it's a mist on the platform, it's a cloud to the people. So you got to understand what you're saying and also understand how to get that point across. And I help executives on that, and I built a course through SPS that helps people on this. But the message is so important. I know nothing. I have no confidence when it comes to cooking, bodybuilding, fishing, working on cars, or any other subjects. If you and I are talking on that, I'll be like, yes, no confidence. But when it comes to talking about my family or speaking or sales or leadership or faith, I can talk about those very well. So defining your message is so crucial. What are you saying? See, if you grow what you know, then you can grow up in confidence. If you grow your understanding of what you're saying and how you're saying what you're saying, then you will grow up in confidence. So we want to determine our identity, define our message, and then discover new skills. Anybody here, you're America Got Talent fan right there? Okay, all 4 of you. Yes. Get together and small table and watch it on my phone. People come up and they have these magic trick abilities. And so they have this confidence because they know how to do magic tricks. Anybody here, you are a legit cartwheeler, like you know how to cartwheel? Probably a lot of us know how to cartwheel. Kat, I'm not surprised. I just feel like you know everything. So like all these skills that go on, legit cartwheel contest afterwards with Kat. If you have a skill, it gives you greater confidence to perform that skill. And that's really what discovering new skills is about. It's how are you performing? How can you perform? The more skills that you have, the greater confidence that you'll have. So when it comes to speaking, when I work with people, we work on cadence and pace and pause and gesture, eye contact, posture, position, all of these different skills. Now, it is important to notice this, that a lot of times when clients come to me, they say, Mike, can you teach me some techniques and some different skills so I can feel more confident in my presentations. And I always say, yes, but not yet. See, a lot of times we're so worried about what we look like on the outside, and so we want to add in these skills without doing the deep dive into who we are and what we have in here. So I tell them, no, you don't want to do that yet. Why? Well, Jesus in the Bible, he tells this great story. He says to these religious leaders, you're like whitewashed tombs. You look pretty on the outside, but you're rotting on the inside. And sometimes we build up a skill set, but if we don't have the understanding of what we're saying and we don't have this deep identity in it, then we build something that ultimately looks good on the outside, but doesn't have any content or merit on the inside. So work on both sides of these. This week, we're going to be diving into all kinds of skills that we're going to learn. That's huge. Because if you increase your skills, you will increase your confidence. When you increase your skills, you increase your confidence. So there's all these actions that we can take from this. To build our confidence, we want to determine our identity. We want to define the message, and we want to discover new skills. Let's think about different ways that we could do this. Determine your identity. You could get that questionnaire, and you could dive in deep, or just get away for a little while and say, what am I about? What is my life mission? One of the things I work with people on a regular basis. What is your life mission? And then what is really the thing that I'm trying to get across? As I get up and speak, or as I work with someone, or as I write a book, what is really the big message of this? We just define that and ask some big questions. And then what skills do I need for my realm of life? Now here's the trick. It's not 3 individual spheres that add to confidence. Really, these work in tandem. That the most concentrated point of confidence is found where they all connect. And if you don't have one, then you're going to be missing out. See, some people have identity and they have skills, but they don't have a message. You know what we call those people? Entertainers. It's fun, they're funny, but there's nothing that you're walking away with. How about if you have identity and you have a message, but you don't have skills? Then you're just boring. It's like you have the content, you're putting it out there, but you don't have skills to engage people. That's boring. But what if you lack identity and you still have message and you still have skills? Then you're shallow because there's no depth to what you're saying. Everything is based on something that isn't really there. So here's my action for you. Choose a circle to work on. You know that 11-year-old boy who stood in front of a Mexican audience? Everybody laughing and pointing and running up, touching me and trying to grab my hair and later trying to cut my hair. That was a moment of such insecurity that regularly I developed psychosomatic sickness so I wouldn't have to go to school. Fast forward 29 years, I fought for confidence, had to gain confidence. And now I stand in front of 300 people. Yes, with some of that nervous energy that should be there, but not with a desire for me to be stand up and noticed, but really to help others stand up so that they can get noticed, so that they can stand up, and so that they can stand out in front of others. See, really, when you create confidence, it's actually not about you. Your confidence creates confidence in others. And when you develop a platform that comes from the pages that you write, or when you develop a platform that comes from the message that you're communicating, or when you develop a platform for the business that you're dreaming of, or when you develop a platform for the speaking career that you engage in, that ultimately the platform that you create is actually not about you. It's about people. The platform we create is always about the people that we serve.